In the 1980s, the Japanese economy was, as the kids say, lit. The Japanese bubble economy is a big enough deal to get its own Wikipedia page and was in some small part driven by the demand in other countries for a high-quality compact car, a demand that Japan met with hits like the Honda Civic, Toyota Corolla, and the Nissan Micra. But what good is a post-war economic boom if you don't let loose and celebrate a little bit? In 1985, at the 26th annual Tokyo Motor Show, Nissan debuted 3 concept cars to gauge public interest. Amongst them was a quirky, postmodern two-door design by fashion designer Nekoi Sakai, who was so disinterested in cars in general that at the time he did not even have a driver's license. His design, based on the contemporary Nissan Micra, was an instant hit and prompted Nissan to put it into production for the 1987 model year. It was so popular that Nissan had to restrict sales of the 10,000 unit 2-year run to a lottery system before people could be allowed to purchase one. Adding to the appeal, the BE1, as it was called, was offered alongside a suite of trendy lifestyle products that could be bought from the combination dealership / fashion salon thing. This probably throws back to Nekoi Sakai's history as a fashion designer, but the success of the BE1 was so great that it spawned an entire short-lived run of quirky small cars, including the POW, Figaro, and the S-Cargo, the latter of which was not actually designed by Sakai himself. I always had a passing interest in the Pike cars. I typically like my vehicles more beans on toast flavored, but a majority of what I've owned has been Japanese. But the Pike cars really seem like something we never got anything like here in the US, and the sort of stylish design you rarely ever saw outside of the French. But importing things from Japan is a bit messy, though I did import this Panasonic camera because I just love Japanese industrial design, and this thing slaps. But I never really entertained the idea of importing a car, even after wasting hours of my life on JapaneseClassics.com as a kid, browsing the endless potato S13s and R32s on offer. But somehow I've managed to amass a following of over 40,000 people on this silly moving picture website, and the more of you I talk to, the more I'm convinced that y'all need to be starting channels of your own. You guys have some wildly interesting lives. But as I was messaging with one of my Patreon members, Jason, after he won Hoovie's BMW M6 giveaway, which, congrats, that car was a lot of fun to cruise around Palm Beach in, and I'm really excited for it's getting a manual swap, which is, you know, my thoughts on such things. But he was wanting to pay it forward and divest some of his collection of far too many hoopties, when I'm quickly reaching far too many hoopties. And he said, Jake, do you want a rare Japanese car? And I was like, tell me more. So he said, I've got this car. It's stuck at a shop. It had issues with a headlight not working, and it was stalling at stoplights, and they're not making any progress with it, and I'm just over it. Do you want it? Yes, Jason. I do want the Japanese car. And not only did he give me a car, but he paid to have it shipped to me, which was the typical huge debacle with like 3 shippers dropping the ball. And then in the middle of all of this, the car stopped running entirely, and that caused even more issues. And eventually it showed up on the back of a truck in the middle of a busy street, and we had to figure out how to get it home from there, which was fun, I guess. And here we have a tale of 2 Nissans. My fairly rare import that nobody on YouTube makes videos about, and Davin's fairly rare import that I am probably sure no one on YouTube makes videos about. This is a Nissan BE1. It is a Pike car. Anything interesting in here? Oh goodness.
That's what I heard, pooping stuff.
Yeah, it was probably upset about low voltage. That is a very nice install though. Oh my gosh, that is fully active. What the heck? Holy Moses. There is more money in the sound system. And is this bolted down? It's not. Okay, so they tripped across the finish line. There's more money in the sound system in this car than the car was probably purchased for. Ooh, it's got pop-out rear windows. I know very little about these, mostly because there's very little info about these on the internet, but it is extremely funky. The whole design is sort of inspired by old Renaults and obviously the Mini Cooper. There are so many parts in here, and worryingly a new clutch cable, I believe. Yeah, that is definitely a new clutch cable, which probably explains why the clutch feels like nothing. Yeah, because the car, when I push the clutch in, the car doesn't start rolling. Okay, well, we've got it on the battery thing. I'm just gonna slap her in neutral. What's this gearbox feel like? Wow, it's got 5 gears. I'm actually impressed. Oh, and there we've got that Pioneer head unit. At any rate, nothing going on there. We do.
Actuating fine.
Yeah. So now we got to figure out, is it fuel or is it something else? Ooh. Fuel gauge says there is an amount of fuel, but is it flowing? Ah, little click-clack fuel pump there that sounds like shit. Which is maybe doing something.
There's definitely more fuel in that fuel filter than there was.
Yeah, you want to go try and start it and I'll check spark. That does not... Oh, wait. Push the clutch again. Oh my gosh, that clutch is doing something. How? It feels so light. Okay, stop. Okay, so we have spark at the coil. And we have spark coming out of the dizzy. Oh, okay. No, we have spark. I guess it's just buried too deep in this this guy here. So, carburetor issue? Ew. These have computer-controlled carbonators, which is a horrible invention, and I need to go find some starting fluid. It's close enough to starting fluid. Open the throttle up real quick. Okay, give her a rip. Interesting. Maybe we have bad wires. I wish I had one of those inline spark testers. That would be extremely helpful right now. There's also the possibility that the fairly severe number of unplugged vacuum lines. There was another one I saw over here just chilling out and dangling. Where'd it go? Maybe it was on the other side? There's a pretty ridiculous amount of stuff just chilling. Yeah, look at this. This guy. Oh, that probably goes to here. I bet you anything. That goes in there. And then there was... Oh my gosh, there was something else. Oh. That's the throttle cable. not a very happy camper anymore. And then we got some stuff down there. Oh my gosh, it's just a mess everywhere. Okay. Oh, hey. Valve cover breather just kind of hanging out. All right. Well, I'll hook that back up, and then I will pursue a better spark tester. Oh my goodness. Running a little rich, you think? And a lot of oil. Okay, give it a crank. Well, it's not the best spark ever, but it is spark. Here, do that again. Again. Okay. We've got spark, and it sounds like it's got compression. So it really should run on starting fluid at the very least. Then again, brake cleaner isn't starting fluid, but come on now, close enough for government work. That was a really yellow spark though. And pretty disgusting looking, but just for the heck of it, I'm gonna unplug the vacuum advance on the Dizzy. Actually, I think there's several. No, there's just the one. I thought there were several lines that go to this distributor on this. Also, actual starting fluid. All right. So the timing's right, it's just fuel delivery. Start her again. Okay, carb issue confirmed, or maybe fuel pump. Let's pull this fuel line off and see if our pump is indeed pumping. I like how it's just kind of hanging out there. Just a chill little guy. Man, it sounds good once it runs though. Okay, key on. Key off. That is some disgusting looking fuel. Key on again real quick. Ew, key off. Okay, well the pump is working, at least. Which unfortunately means carburetor issue. Which looks not like a ton of fun. I would say they ruined a perfectly good carb, but I don't think anything here was perfectly good even to begin with. What the hell is even that?
Like diagonal towards your face, it sounds great.
Oh yeah, so it's got butt speakers. What are these? Pioneer 3-way bass reflex TSX200. It's the newer version of what's in my truck behind the seats that are not hooked up. We just tried out the sound system. It is
Nice.
okay, solidly okay. Look at all these wires, and some window trim, which is very nice. Sweet heavens, there's everything here needed to rebuild a Nissan BE1. But first the carb needs to come off, and I'm not really entirely sure how to accomplish that on like that with some form of screws from the bottom, and then the carb screws to this from the top with just 2 screws. Really? No way. There's got to be more than that. Oh, 1, 2, 3, maybe? Sweet heavens. Bruh. Oh, there's one of them. Oh my gosh, how? How do you even get a screwdriver on that? You have to disassemble the carb in situ. This looks like a dry carb. I bet we can take this apart and rebuild it in the car if we undo these. Actually, they're probably JIS fasteners. However, the sun is going down. That's about to get annoying to do. Also, one very unfortunate thing, this thing got bonked. And Jason tells me that it was not bonked when he dropped it off at the shop, so we're thinking that the shop he left it at kind of bumped into this, and you can see it's kind of dented in here. And oh, look, yeah, there's yep. See, and this was a freshly done wrap too, so any damage happened after he dropped it off at the shop. So yeah, someone bumped into her and pushed this in, so that's unfortunate. I think if we took the radiator out and put a porta-power in there, we could push it back forward. The radiator looks like it comes out in approximately half a second if you sneeze wrong in its general direction. What else do we have here? A starter, very easy to get to, unlike your Exa. Did you ever figure that out?
No.
Okay, cool.
It was just a dead battery.
Oh, right.
And it just started right up.
I don't love this fuel pump situation because it can't self-prime, so that's kind of doomed. That is going to stop working at some point. Okay, that actually does seem like that goes there. It's been a few days and it's rained a lot, but I got the old carb out and started taking a look at the new boy here. I haven't done really much of anything on this except I took the eccentric, whatever you call that. What do you call that? I don't know. I took that off and put it on here, so now we can actually hook the throttle cable up. I'll have to make a bracket for the cable itself. I'll have to do something for a clutch. I don't know what that is, but we'll figure it out. But what I also did was I took some pictures and I made a 3D model. And then I printed it out of PETG. PETG has a glass transition of about 100 degrees Celsius, something thereabouts. It starts to deform at about 90. It's not going to get that hot in the intake manifold, especially with cork gaskets that are also acting as insulation. So these were cut out on the laser printer, and this was printed on my 3D printer. Did I say laser printer? Laser cutter. And then I've got some hardware and some blue Loctite. So first we're going to put that on the carburetor, and then we're going to set the carburetor on the intake manifold. And then honestly, there's no reason why this shouldn't fire up at that point. I do have some stuff to figure out. There is, I mean, that just goes to that port there, and then who knows where it went from there, and then there's all this stuff that goes from that, and heaven only knows what that's about. And oh, Okay, so the vacuum advance was just hooked up to nothing. Okay, so we'll have to hook the vacuum advance up somewhere, I guess. So there's some stuff to figure out, but first I gotta mount my flange. Who out mounting, they flange. So what definitely did not just happen was snapping the intake. I super glued it. Yeah, I'm gonna go redesign that, but first let's hit the key and see if fuel flows into our carb and see if she starts. This might be a two-handed thing or a two-person thing since I don't have any throttle. Okay, let's do that again. Well, that's a result.
I like how fast your audio came on.
We are leaking coolant from something, which is awful fun. So whatever that hose is going to need replaced. But well, the carb works. Well, obviously we've got a few vacuum leaks going on here. Just a couple that need to be sorted. Like, where does this even go? Where does that even go? Oh, they just both go straight down there. All right. That's one vacuum leak. Well, created. Now I have to, and then I got the distributor hooked up there. No idea what all this is or where it goes. That also goes away. Okay. And that might be what my distributor wants to see. I'm not sure. But yeah, so despite the fact that is barely on there, it does seem to work. So I'm gonna go do some CAD work and try to make a more durable version of that. Well, the hood did a disappearing act, and I printed off this new adapter. Now, I didn't really want to do this style where the fastener could potentially drop down into the intake, but I think it's probably a better long-term solution and a lot stronger, because the one that I had, well, snapped immediately. Like, right off the bat. Yeah, so that's not great, but this should be much more durable. Also, kind of started looking at what might be necessary to straighten out the core support, because if you notice, it's a little bendy there. So hopefully we can straighten that out, get the hood to shut, get this thing to drive. Probably got a bunch more vacuum line stuff to figure out, but hey, that's for later. I think the move is still to put it on the carb first, and then put the whole assembly onto the car. So I shall do that. Yet another day, yet another attempt at actually making an adapter plate that works. This was my last attempt, printed in PETG. There's some question on if PETG is the correct filament for this. We did get quite a bit of warping and deforming because, well, for one, I cranked it down like an absolute Neanderthal. This one that I just printed off is a lot thicker, and it also has more than twice the infill density. So hopefully this is a bit more stouter, and I'm not going to be such a curmudgeon when I tighten this one down. As we see, it bolts onto the carb from the bottom. There's enough relief there for the nuts, and then straight on the top onto the car. I've also made this throttle cable bracket. So since I don't have any help today, that will help me start and also manipulate the throttle at the same time. So hopefully once I get this bolted on here, we'll actually be able to get it to idle and tune it a little bit and whatnot, and then we can work on this. Is it this one or the other one? I think it's that hose there is a leaky boy, and of course it's the more difficult one to get to, but look at how swollen that is. That it doesn't look great. So without a choke, I'm probably gonna have to pedal it pretty hard to keep it running, but if it does stay running without the choke artificially supplying more fuel, that will be a pretty good indicator that our vacuum leak problem is solved. This did have, I did check. This thing had some, okay, it's got fuel. My throttle pedal set up. It feels like it could use some adjustment. Well, that's unfortunate. Attempt to number the second. It did sound like we still have a pretty gnarly vacuum leak though, so that's fun. I might cinch these down just a little bit more.
Cranking?
Why is it smoking so much?
I thought you were running like some kind of cleaner.
So, turns out a big part of my problem was there's supposed to be sealing surfaces here and here, and I went and put reliefs for the bolts from the bottom right over those surfaces. So now there's a spacer on that hopefully won't ingest a whole bunch of coolant, which, you know, always good for an engine. I got my bracket here with a zip tie to keep it from rotating because, you know, that's well engineered. I'll probably just make another brace that goes here at some point. I don't know. The air filter from the other thing doesn't fit this, so I'll probably 3D print a little velocity stack for it with like a mesh in there or something like that. And then we've got the anti-dieseling solenoid hooked up to the same source as the fuel pump, so that will keep the fuel shutoff from coming on. And I just kind of tucked our ratchet or our strap to pull this out over here, so we're going to see if it starts. We had some promising half starts a minute ago, but we're going to try it with no choke this time. And Kenneth, go ahead and hit it. Dang. Okay. And it is responding to the fueling screw, so idle's not hanging. How's the throttle pedal feel? Give it a blip. Honestly, that looks pretty good. Yeah, it's kind of in the way. Okay, well, I guess I'll pull this around up to the winch, and then we can try to fix this situation. And yeah, then I'll need to go inside and call Haggerty, get this put on, well, not call them, I'll probably do it through the internet. Put this thing on a Haggerty plan. I guess I'll film, you hold the brakes. The headlights lining back up again. I think my truck battery is upset. So the first issue I'm trying to fix is this, I think it's called a NARP. It's hitting the idle adjust screw and not letting this thing come all the way back to idle. Yeah, I guess we try and get a hood back on here. Where did I put? Oh, there it is. How did it get over here?
I moved it.
Oh. Okay.
How far out? There we go.
Thing ever. Okay.
Significant improvement.
Okay.
See what I mean? I can
Yeah.
pick it up a lot. How's it look over there?
About the same.
So you were getting a wider and wider gap over here and then kind of thinner. Clean it.
Wow. But will it open?
Ah, there it is.
Woo! All right. You know what that means? I think we can drive it now. Quality. First drive, here we go, 3 deep, 50 horsepower, truck coming. Truck maybe coming? What is truck doing? Do I have turn signals?
Those are wipers. You did the thing.
I do have turn signals though. I'm concentrating on way too many things at once right now. How loud are we driving? God, I haven't driven right-hand drive in a hot minute. I think the last time I drove it was your Exa. No, did I drive this to Gia?
I don't think you have yet.
Okay. Gosh, that clutch is just nothing. And my idle is in the stratosphere again. Cool.
Helps with starting, don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's an anti-stall feature.
Right.
The clutch is so light, it's so difficult. Jason, I see why you like these things. This is actually kind of a driving experience. Does that go down anymore? It does. Ah, there we go. Oh, dude, the visibility is so ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
No, this feels like the Stag.
2300 RPM idle, probably fine. Temperature is good. This thing is on some sort of coilovers. I will say, a little on the stiff side. Person behind us wondering what in the hell is that? That is pretty much all it's got.
We are at full bean.
Full beans to get to 40. to be in Tokyo, just beating around in this. Or the outskirts of Tokyo, I suppose. Japanese suburb much cooler than American suburb.
Not even a complaint from the tires for doing that.
Right? Like I expected a little bit of chirp out.
Nothing.
This gas pedal is diabolical. Like, it is so annoying. I need to figure out if that's correct or not. I joined a bunch of K10 Micra Facebook groups, but I haven't actually got accepted into any yet. Don't they know who I am? Probably not, but I say that to be an idiot, but I have actually been recognized in Facebook groups after putting out a video, which is kind of funny. Wow, okay. This is amazing. I am so stoked. I guess all that's left now is figure out the high idle, test the air conditioning once we're parked, and give it a wash. Okay, so we got air, and AC compressor.
Don't turn on the compressor.
Yeah. It's down here. I don't know how it would have worked from the factory. That is cold air.
That is cold air.
The light is so sad. I'm guessing that's open with the door or on the door? No.
Does door sensor work?
Probably not. Man, this thing is upset with the air conditioning. All right, there we go. Oh shit.
Running compressor anyway.
The compressor's just working correctly now. The switch isn't even necessary. The heck? So...
You will have AC at all times.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend to understand. Also, now it's idling fine. You join me a few days later. A lot has happened, not a lot of it is made for very good TV, but here's a quick rundown. I got the carb mounted, and as you can see, it even works with the factory airbox, sort of. More on that later, but I went through a few iterations of adapter. First we had this one that had sort of a plenum up to a separate flange, and then I brought the flange a bit more down to earth, went through a few iterations of that, and the latest version is actually just a plate with some countersunk screws in it. Obviously not this one, and it's printed out of PPA carbon fiber, and you can see it sort of down in there. Maybe, but probably not. So that's been fun. I'll need that made out of aluminum at some point. Probably not going to happen anytime soon though. This fit right on there. Got it held down. Got my throttle cable bracket there. It's held down. Even got a vacuum line run to what I believe is the cold start high idle thing. We've got our heat riser. That's hooked up. So that stuff's all pretty good. No choke yet. Still working on choke, but you know, it is what it is. Got this thing timed correctly. Had to make my own timing mark. Used a paint pen, screwdriver to find top dead center on cylinder 1 here. Used a paint pen to mark it at 0 degrees top dead center. This engine goes to 5 degrees before top dead center. If you had an automatic transmission, your car actually gets set to 2 degrees after top dead center, if the internet is to be believed. But finding information about these cars is actually extraordinarily difficult. I haven't been able to find a service manual or anything. I have a parts diagram, and that's about it. I got rid of all of the aftermarket relays and nonsense on the headlights, and actually, if we go in here, there was some weird stuff with the fuses. I got some new fuses. I have no idea what this wire tap does, but if it's not present, this light is on. So I assume it's something to do with fooling the ECU thing. Not really sure. I also aligned this fender here. As you can see, it was rubbing. I went in through the fender liner. There's a bracket. This is a plastic panel, so there's just a bracket right here that moves it in or out. I moved it out so it actually lines up, and hey, look, it doesn't rub anymore. This thing, so this doesn't have the center post like the original carb had. Fortunately, as you can see here, this has provisions for clips. So I 3D printed up some clips, also out of PPACF, and also a plug for the middle. So we can just take this, and it goes like that, line up the two arrows, and then we stick in our grommet, stick in this plug, which I might have made a little bit too big. There we go. And then we have our clips. There we go. Hey, that looks pretty good. So now I still have to figure out why I have no high beams and no headlight on this side. My initial suspicion, oh, that's fun. My initial suspicion is there's a bad ground somewhere. Yeah, that connector doesn't look burnt or anything, but I suspect a bad ground. I did replace the turn signal switch already because there is a spare. And the one that was in there, well, let me show you. Here's the switch that was in the car. Here's the back of the switch that was in the car. How the hell? Like, you could see that cut through some metal. That looks like a cutting disc hit it. But how? Honestly. So I think I found a blurry scan of a service manual for a K10 Micra, and we're just gonna kind of use that for diagnostics. We're gonna need to move this washer tank out of the way. Is there anything in here? Oh, there's a little bit. Thing's in shockingly good shape. And yeah, see what we can find there. I'm really hoping it's just like a bad ground, but it's like every third time I turn on the headlight switch, I get that headlight. I have no high beams, and this headlight never does anything. So it's very weird. If the diagram is correct, each headlight has its own positive side circuit. They're not negative switched. I don't think. No, they're not negative switched. They're positive switched, each on their own independent circuit, but the high beams are twinned together. It's real bizarre. Might just end up fixing one side and then slaving one side off the other, because that is super goofy. Headlights! Also, high beams. All right, so here's our headlight switch. You can probably already see what's going on here. You play that with your thumbs and you make music. But as we rotate...
It's a kalimba.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, so I hit those with a bunch of contact cleaner and then took some emery cloth and went blah, 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 a whole bunch. And eventually I got it to work. However, the entire current of the headlight is going through here. These things were getting hot. Like, I burned my finger a little bit.
That's why you were looking at relay harnesses.
Trying to push one down. So I'm looking at relay harnesses. However,
you could do that which you hate most and convert it to LEDs.
I could just put LEDs in here because realistically this isn't really going to get driven at night. And the headlights are kind of, I mean, glary anyway. However, I took apart... Now you get to hold this one.
Oh.
I took apart our destroyed one here. You can see someone hit that with a cutting wheel somehow. Very impressive disaster. And then here is the kalimba board. They straight up cut a trace here, so that's why this one wasn't working correctly. You can see there's just a couple push pins on the bottom here, 3 of them. And those are what actuate these. Yeah. And then that's the turn signal, is those 3 there. So then when we look at the actual body here, there's so if we do turn signals, that rotates, and then this shuttle moves around with the headlight switch, which is that.
It's like a game of Hungry Hungry Hippos.
It's pretty danged simple mechanically, kind of. It's always funny to me how complex turn signal switches end up being. So that one works.
antenna boner.
Ooh, be careful with that.
Yeah.
This is...
Gonna have to 3D print a new one.
So, this... No, it's the metal behind it is gone.
Oh.
This roof was redone. Like, when they did this wrap, which... No comment on the quality of the wrap. I have a picture, which I'll put on screen now, of they took the windshield out and repainted the hood and did nothing to fix the fact that all the metal behind this is gone. So... I don't know what I'm gonna do there. I might...
We'll come on that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah, it's just... Oh...
Pull the headliner down, get you like a backing metal plate. About the only option, really.
Kind of. I really don't want to pull the headliner down because I don't know how it works in this car. And obviously, shop manual does not exist for these. Like I said earlier, all I have is a parts diagram. So I was thinking more like a toggle bolt type of situation.
Yeah.
Like a 3D printed like flippy plate that comes out and does the thing. That's really the only thing I can think of.
Hot Boy shark fin antenna and just stick it on.
Yeah, with adhesive. I kind of like that though. You can see here where the metal no longer exists. It's real good.
Weight reduction.
So
Speedos. That's
the headlights sorted for now. I'll need some way of lowering the amperage. All the relay kits are made for cars that are switched double ground like a Toyota Tacoma, and none of them have wiring diagrams for me to figure out how to make those work with this, which is already switched positive and just needs to stay switched positive but with a relay. So I need to do some research. The shop was kind of on the right track when they relayed that light, except they did it in the worst way imaginable, and they weren't actually fixing the problem, which was that the switch wasn't actually making the connection. So I'm gonna toss my switch back in. As a bonus, this switch is in slightly better, less faded shape than the other one. The legends are all gone, but whatever. We'll pop this cover back on if I can, and put the car back together.
where are we going?
Good question.
It's motor mounts. They're brand new.
Oh,
I'm guessing they're just like the solid.
I don't think so. They look like stock replacements. All right.
There's a lot of sensations going on.
Yeah, the coilovers are a little rough.
Oh, does that have coilovers on it?
Yeah.
I haven't fully looked at this thing, so it's the first time I've been in it.
It rattles a little bit.
No worse than my car does.
Just the everything. Okay, don't turn on the AC compressor at idle. Noted.
You just gotta idle up a little bit.
Yeah, that's kind of what everyone... So these carburetors also go on Land Rovers, apparently.
Interesting.
And Chevy loves. And basically, what people say as far as AC goes is just idle at 1500 RPM in the summer.
Just set your idle manually.
Yeah, just set your idle, man.
I think you're too nerdy to accept that.
I know. I really need to figure out some sort of... there's nowhere to install a solenoid on these. So it's got to be either something that pulls a cable or... I don't know.
Just like a single step solenoid with like a little tiny orifice that's triggered by the AC.
I tried that. Making a vacuum leak does not make this idle up.
Oh.
It just makes it very unhappy. We are going to see how this does on the highway.
Oh.
Coolant temp's good. Fuel is low.
I love that a little jaunt on the highway requires a pre-trip inspection of this.
Yep.
faster than the Ranger.
Yes. Do you know what this weighs?
1,600. Oh, money shift.
1,300 or 1,400.
Wow. Needs a K-swap immediately.
Right. Well, that's...
Would be such a death trap. Oh, you're exceeding the recommended speed, so therefore...
We are exceeding the Japanese national speed limit in 1987! So it's beeping at us! That's amazing. And honestly, so we're doing 110 kilometers an hour. It's a little noisy, but...
What, 120 is, 80 miles an hour, right?
I don't know. Honestly, this isn't that bad, though.
I honestly think the Ranger is probably a sketchier endeavor on the highway.
The visibility is so good out of this car.
Yeah. It really does make me want another Nissan Q. But only a manual one, because...
Yeah, a stick cube would be neat. CL550. Maybe something,
Oh no.
something that you would like.
Yeah.
You should, we should go give that guy your number.
It's a dealer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, there we are.
It's,
From zero to highway in one episode. How about that?
it actually, yeah.
Now, it's not enjoying this hill.
Oh. Yeah. Let's take it to Kansas City
No.
and get noodles
No.
and go see one of the other Pike cars.
That is 75 miles an hour all the way up there.